Welcome, everyone, to the workshop on big data and the future of work. My name is David Orban, and I am very happy to see the participation not only from outside, those that are following the stream, but also in the Zoom room together with me. We have Margarita and Nuno and Maria and Diana and Anna and Melissa and Sara and Beatriz and all the others that will join us. We have little more than half an hour together, so I want to get straight to it. The opportunity is really big to make sure that we are sharing a clear understanding of the power of the technology that is developing. I am very eager to keep in touch and to make sure that you can also continue the conversation that we are starting. So I encourage you to reach out, and I am very easy to find. You can use your favorite search engine, which 90% or 95% of the time is Google, statistically speaking, and find me, subscribe to my YouTube channel, or follow me on Twitter and any other platform, because I am online in many different places. What I want to start with is the concept of jolting. Big data is, yes, a part of statistics, but artificial intelligence kind of tried to own this today. And a lot of the advances are through AI applications. And statisticians, of course, are angry. They are saying, oh, this is statistics. But for the moment, the mind set is around the AI applications. So 2 years ago, Stanford University, together with OpenAI, released a report that identified two eras in artificial intelligence. They were saying up to 2012, the power of AI, so our ability to make sense of big data, basically, improved, doubling every 2 years, more or less. Who wants to say what is the name of the law, not a natural law, just a technological prophecy that we call this doubling of some technology every 2 years? Out of the participants in the workshop, who wants to say that? Unmute yourself if it comes into your mind. If not, I will say it. We call it Moore's Law. And Moore's Law has been going on for 50 years. And we know it because it is what allows our phones to become twice as powerful, our computers to become twice as powerful, more or less every 2 years. So the first line that you are seeing here is following Moore's Law. And then Stanford University said, starting 2012, we are looking at something different. We are looking at the power of AI increasing every 4 months, rather than, sorry, doubling, not increasing. The power of AI doubling every 4 months, rather than every 2 years. And at the time, I said they are wrong, because rather than talking about these two eras, what we should be talking about is the increasing rate of acceleration. And that is what is called jolting. And what we could conclude, if that is true, is that we are not just going to talk about two eras, but this increase is going to continue. And that is actually the case because NVIDIA's developer conference, at the keynote, the CEO of NVIDIA actually showed a graphic that is quite amazing. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. This graphic, if you see, is showing a doubling that is not every 4 months anymore. It is a doubling every 2 months. So to recap and to conclude my introduction, big data has been captured by artificial intelligence because the algorithms of deep learning and machine learning and all the others are the best way to make sense of big data. And rather than this following a constant acceleration of doubling every 2 years, as it used to be the case, 2 years ago, it was doubling every 4 months. Today, it is doubling every 2 months. So we can expect this to continue, and maybe we will come back together in 2022, observing that the power of AI is doubling every month already. So I would like to invite anyone in the workshop who wants to make a short remark about this in her field. What is your impression? Do you get the impression that your knowledge and your ability to make sense of the data is keeping pace with this kind of explosion? Are the tools that you have available sufficient at your disposal? Anyone? You are welcome to use the reactions like this to agree or say, wow, at the bottom of your screen. And let's say that you use this party icon if you want to speak up, but you're also welcome to just unmute your microphone. Remember, you can passively follow from outside. If you are inside, it's because we want to interact a little bit. So please, I welcome your feedback and your input, even if to disagree with me.
On my side, I completely agree. Things are going really, really fast. And someday I think we'll achieve the fastest possible. And the curve until then, it will be very challenging. And I'm not so sure what can I say, because this is very new at so many points of view. There are so much learning that we have to gain in so few time. I'll keep watching you. And
thank you very much. So I agree with you that one of the biggest challenges that we have is to learn. And that is why smart companies are allowing their people to do that. Rather than telling them, you have to do this in the morning, this in the afternoon, this tomorrow, they realize that just like children explore and they create value through that exploration for themselves and then for others, the same way talented people in any organization have to have a certain degree of freedom in order to be able to learn. And the tools that we have today make that possible. If you are technical, then you can use PyTorch or you can use TensorFlow. And it is quite interesting that TensorFlow is a big data platform developed by Google, but PyTorch, which is a competitor platform, competitor not for money, but for the attention of developers, originally proposed by Facebook, is kind of winning. So even if we tend to recognize Google as the organization with the biggest of the big data of all, the fight for the attention and the hearts of the developers by Facebook appears to be winning. Now, if you are not a developer, then what you can do is to make sure that you recognize the opportunities that are there. So let me try and make you interact once again. In the bottom of your screen, the first icon on the right has a smiley face, and I don't know in Portuguese, but in English it says reactions. So please click on that. And if you are not a developer, pick the heart icon, which is the third from the left. Now, thank you. And all the others. And I'm not saying I'm going to kick you out of the room if you don't do that, but please, you are here to interact. That's why you are here. Yes, find it. Oh, okay, very good. So those that pressed the thumb, I will assume are developers, because I said, if you are not a developer, pick the heart. But that's fine. Thank you for those who are paying attention. So to keep going, and then I will think of a third and a fourth and a fifth opportunity to pull you out of your protective passivity. The opportunity, if you are not a developer, is to realize that a lot of things are going on, and to make sure that first individually and then as an organization, you understand that and that you try to act on it. So let me show you a very, very simple example of what is going on and what you can do. So if you go to Google Photos, you can choose to upload your photos on that website, and these photos will be indexed not through the labels that you assign to the photos, but they will be indexed automatically by the Google AI. And as a consequence, even if you have, like it is my case, hundreds of thousands of photos, and you could never handle them manually, you will be able and enjoy the photos as they are automatically classified by the AI. One of my favorite examples is to search and say something like sunset beach smile. Now, isn't that amazing? Out of the 200,000 photos, I was able to find the one where my sons are smiling on the beach at sunset. And this kind of deep understanding of the content of the photos is something that we were trying to make computers do, and there were people who predicted it would never happen. AlexNet was the first machine learning system, artificial neural network, that was able to match human level capabilities. And that was the MIT image recognition contest that achieved, within which this has been achieved. And since then, AI progressed so that today's are superhuman capabilities. Basically, today AI is able to recognize and classify photos better than I could. So the various, for example, if I write just to pick something, these photos are showing horses, and not only the speed and the comprehensive nature, but sometimes even the fact that there are horses would be something that that humans couldn't do. Now, funny, because these are definitely not horses, so the AI is not fallible. Sorry, I realized I wasn't sharing my screen. Here is the result of the search for horses, right? So I was searching for horses, and the AI didn't catch them. Now, for those of you that don't recognize them, those are lions, just to make sure that we are on the same page. And who here, please give me your reaction. Use the clap. Who here uses either Google Photos or another online system where you can classify your photos? Google is not the only one. Okay. Beatriz, thank you very much. Margarita. Nuno is more private. Very good. Absolutely. Now, your ability, Nuno, to decide that you don't want to take advantage of that kind of ability comes, of course, at the cost of having to make the effort of classifying your photos by your own. Maybe you are taking fewer photos and you can afford it, or you say, I don't mind having the photos not classified, but I don't want to hand them over to Google.
Yeah, basically, it's just not have the need to be classified. I don't have so many photos, and I don't. It's not a concern to be classified. So that's why I don't use it. It's only that.
There are people who.
But I understand if you have many photos, and if you want to specifically classify this, obviously it makes every sense.
Yes, there are people who, contrary to Nuno, have the need and still not use those platforms because they are concerned about their privacy. They are concerned about any kind of abuse that could happen. And photos are often harmless. You know, the lion that I took a photo of doesn't matter. It happened to me that, for example, Business Week would take a photo and use it in Business Week that I shot. And so I send them an email saying, I am very happy that you found my photo valuable. I am attaching an invoice for the payment for the use of the photo. And they immediately changed it rather than paying. So that is also a kind of a harmless abuse. Now, let's be sure that we cover other two steps in this conversation that we are having. We said big data needs tools that artificial intelligence made available in order to make sense of the large volume. And if you are a developer, there are fantastic tools that are available for free, by the way, from Google, from Facebook, or IBM, and so many other places These are just fighting for your attention. If you are not a developer, you can discover the power of AI through examples, like the example of the ability to classify photos, but there are many, many others. And of course, some of you may be familiar with the frightening power that AI now has, not only of understanding, but also generating reality. The URL of this website is "This person does not exist," because these images that I am now loading are completely synthetic. They are not photos of people. They are dreams of AI. And actually, there are also commercial services where you can go and say, I want male photos that are middle-aged with brown hair. And there you go. And these are not real people again. And then you can buy these photos and use them online without infringing on anyone's privacy. And it is a pretty amazing example of what is already possible. And of course, it is not only images, it is also voice. It is the ability to create text very famously. You may have heard of GPT-3. If you haven't, look it up. It is a program that is able to generate text just from a short prompt of amazing complexity and amazing features. So the next step, the third step in our conversation that I want to make, highlights the unavoidability of biases. Biases that come both from our models, because we are inherently biased, both as individuals and as society, and biases that must be recognized and then, if possible, minimized in order to be able to make objective decisions that are not based on these biases that are either unknown or insufficiently handled and recognized. Who here feels that Facebook is manipulating their attention? Click, or that Facebook is driving or steering your attention, right? What is interesting is that, and most of you feel that, what is interesting is that the alternative is impossible. If I go to my Facebook feed, and apologies to my connections who have private feeds, and now their potential private posts will be exposed. I hope doesn't happen too much. But I hit the top limit of Facebook connections, which is today 5,000 connections, okay? So I cannot accept any other direct connections. If any of you want to connect on Facebook, I welcome you to like my page, which is searching for the question. So that is the way that you can connect with me on Facebook. But with that number of connections, if Facebook did not make a selection and a filter, the flow of information would be too fast. I would not be able to absorb it. So there has to be a filter. The filter is natural, is unavoidable. Since it is natural and unavoidable, the question is not if there is a filter, which is necessary. It is what kind of filter. And is that filter corresponding to what I want? Or not even what I want today, what I want tomorrow? What is the direction of my personal or professional development? And that is the last point that I want to make today. I have been advising Alex Torrenegra, who was born in Colombia and has become very successful as an entrepreneur in the United States. And he recently launched a platform called Torre that I also joined. And Torre applies big data and artificial intelligence to the challenge of matching jobs with talent, making sure that all of us have the opportunity of finding fulfilling work. I will not ask you to tell me if you like your work, but the surveys today are terrible. 80% of the people will tell you that they hate their work, which is really sad because we spend so much time working. And it should be something that is exciting, that is fulfilling, that gives you a sense of purpose. However, since we established that AI is very powerful, we have to take advantage of it, and it is inherently biased, and filters are unavoidable, what can we do to make sure that, for example, if I am a candidate and the ranking algorithm of AI puts me at position number 6, and the recruiter is going to interview the 5 top candidates and not me, what can I do about it? So I invite you to check out the website on fair.tech. Fair.tech talks about frank artificial intelligence in recruiting, in a manifesto that invites anyone to sign this manifesto, and you are welcome to do so as well, to sign the manifesto that asks us, can we design in this fundamental area, which is the future of human talent and human potential, as necessarily impacted by artificial intelligence, can we design systems that are transparent on how that they are there, that we are using AI, of what are the factors that drive the AI decisions, that in particular disclose the rankings of the candidates, that are able to detect bias, but also to aim to systematically reduce discrimination. And this is going to be a fundamental challenge for all of us. Statistically speaking, people today tend to change jobs between 5 and 10 times even more during their professional life. So you will be selected by an AI algorithm for your next job. And what you want is that AI algorithm to conform to these principles of transparency, accountability, explainability, and a minimum or zero amount of bias and discrimination. So the organizers asked us to close a few minutes before the end of the hour, and we still have 10 minutes. I would really like to open up the floor to all of you who have been here very kindly participating with your hearts and with your thumbs in the icons that I asked you to use. So feel free to raise your hand with any of the icons and intervene, telling me what you think.
Well, let me share with you that this last part you were talking about is very important to me, to us, my team, because we, besides of my PhD, we are starting a startup right on this field. We are trying to improve the fit level between a candidate and the recruiter, interpreting this job fit, this team fit, this organization fit, because one of the things that is happening a lot is that the candidate, of course, is assessed, but not the company, and the company has proper values, proper culture, and it is really important to understand that they really can match to an healthy relationship during the time they are spending together. So I didn't know this platform you talked about, Torre. Really nice. I will check it up, and thank you for sharing. Very interesting.
And please make sure that you follow me on Torre, and you send me information about your startup. That sounds really interesting. Thank you very much for your contribution. Our friends from Planetiers are welcome to wave if we have to close, but until they do that, I will.
We can continue, please.
Thank you. I will keep asking our participants to provide also their contributions. Maria, is there anything that you would like to add?
Yes, I think the last intervention was quite interesting. And one thing that concerns me is that these new platforms that are emerging and using these resources count on rather big and evolved companies. And I fear that maybe some smaller companies might be a little bit left out from this, and those might also be a good, might also have a good job offer for new candidates. So how are these being included? How can they reach, and how can I use these tools to reach them?
Sure. So on one hand, the small companies have huge opportunities because they can disrupt the big ones. If you think about it, Facebook didn't exist 20 years ago. Google didn't exist 25 years ago. There are companies that are growing today that represent a real existential threat for any of the large companies. Think about Tesla. Tesla, the car maker, is potentially killing 100-year-old car makers that cannot keep up with the increasing rate of innovation that they represent. And Tesla was just a hungry startup who could die any day until a few years ago. In terms of the job opportunities, a fundamental shift that happened just now is that for an increasing number of companies, an increasing share of the jobs can be done remotely. And this is an incredible opportunity for talent in places like, for example, Portugal, that is not the headquarters of technology giants most of the time. Because yesterday, you needed to go and live in San Francisco or the Silicon Valley or Beijing or wherever you would want to work at these large companies. But today, they have all decided, and most of them permanently, not just during the pandemic, but permanently, that you can work anywhere you want and you can work with them. That means that your talent and your passion can really shine and make an impact at either a startup that aims to disrupt the large companies, or you can find the recruiter who is smart and who recognizes that the job of finding talent has become much more exciting because you can find talent everywhere. I think Fernando wanted to say something. I saw his microphone unmuted for a moment. And I think we still have a few minutes for Fernando to make his contribution if he's ready. Otherwise, anyone else, as a last remark, please feel free to say what you think about the topics that we mentioned, or about the remarks that our participants made after the examples that I gave. In the meantime, feel free to save the chat that I pasted with various pointers. Let me actually put it also on the screen for those that are following our live stream. And the way that I'm going to do that is just very simply creating a new document and then setting the font here nice and like this. Oops, a bit too much, sorry. Still too much. So I just want to show this so that you can take note, even if you are following the stream, rather than being here with us in the Zoom room. And I have exaggerated with the size of this text here. There you go. Starts to be readable. Okay, so to recap, what we said is artificial intelligence is jolting, meaning that the acceleration in the power of AI is increasing. According to NVIDIA, it is now doubling every 2 months. And since it has been doubling every 4 months, and even before that every 2 years, we can expect the power of AI to be doubling maybe in another couple of years every month. And this is quite astonishing. If you are a developer, you can find free tools to power your applications. If you are a consumer, you must familiarize yourself with the tools and their power, which are not only interpreting, but actively intervening in the world by creating synthetic realities. And since the flow of information interpreted for us by AI must go through a filter, otherwise we cannot act on it, we must build AI systems everywhere, but especially in the HR sector, which guides the development of human talent, that are transparent, accountable, and where we can systematically reduce bias. So thank you very much for participating in this workshop. David. Feel free to reach out, and thanks for Planetiers for having us together today.
Yes, David, thank you very much in the name of Planetiers. It's a pleasure for us having you here.
As a matter of fact, you had a little taste of what we are going to talk about in my keynote tomorrow as well, which you are welcome to attend. It is, sorry, not tomorrow, on the 23rd, apologies.
Yes.
On the 23rd at some time during the day. I don't remember exactly the time.
I can check and say the time exactly, okay? Let's see. You are talking at 10:30.
Okay, so please
morning.
join that keynote, and then we will have a panel discussion with 2 people from China and the perspective of what it means, AI in China, privacy in China, technology in China, sustainability in China. We are not only going to be talking about China, but it is going to be a very, very interesting perspective. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
David. Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.